Tonight, I am joined by Jared and Rick from the band Charlie on Trial, who have a brand new EP called Opening Statement. Fellas, welcome to WOWfm.
Thanks very much, Shannon.
Cheers for having us.
Thanks for coming in. Congratulations on at the EP as well. I've been listening to it all week and enjoying it a lot. Must be pretty nice to have it out there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a head trip, really. It's been a long time coming for us, so it's been really good.
Yeah, first thing we've done in like over a decade, and the thing we always wanted to do, and got together during COVID and decided let's do it, and the reaction's been pretty humbling. It's been awesome.
Nice. And it must be good after that much time being able to have something recorded that captures the moment.
I think we finally trapped all these songs so they can't go anywhere, and they're out in the public now, so let's see where they go.
Well, we're going to take a listen to one of the tracks off the EP, but first we better do a quick check of the weather.
Semaphores 100.5 WOW Weather Update.
And tonight's weather is brought to you by Jared and Rick from Charlie on Trial.
All right, Monday, January 18, we've got a windy day with a top of 21 and a low of 14.
Tuesday, January 19th, we got a maximum of 24 degrees, mostly sunny, and a minimum of 14 degrees.
It's warming up Wednesday, January 20, with a mostly sunny day, 26 degrees with a low of 18 and only a 5% chance of rain.
Slightly better again on Thursday. I'll get there. The 27th, the 21st with 27 degrees, high of 30, and low of 20 degrees.
Perfect. One of the reasons I get guests to do the weather is they always do a much better job than I ever do. So nice work there, fellas. Now, I noticed on social media that one of the things that the band mentions is that you have an aim to make an AFL Highlight Reel with one of your tracks.
Yeah, well, who wouldn't want to be on that? I mean, big sweaty blokes crashing into each other and a bit of rock music in the background.
Any particular song you've got earmarked as the one they might play?
Probably got my showing, I think.
Oh, yes.
That solo that Andy's done at the break there, we always just sit there going, yes. That grin spoon section is just like, yeah.
And is it particularly AFL? If you made it onto like the BBL, would that feel like a silver medal, or would it still count?
Anything they pay us for, I reckon we'd be fine with.
I have noticed recently, though, watching some BBL, I don't know whether it's intentional or not, but the clips they're playing of songs quite often are songs that slip a little bit of a swear word in without you even noticing.
Yeah.
They play Tribute by Tenacious D, and they've got the version that drops the F-bomb just subtly, and every time they play it, I go, I wonder if it's the one. It's like, yes, it is. So, like 7:30 during family cricket, they're doing that. So there's the odd Charlie on Trial song with a bit of language that they could sneak in.
Always a chance.
Kids these days, I love it.
Yeah, I think they're pretty big fans of subtle swearing. So we might take a listen to one of the tracks off of the EP. 7 tracks, is it?
7 tracks.
7 tracks. That's almost an album.
I know. We got together and thought, 2 or 3 would be respectable. And I remember the first day I went in and caught up with Barry and sat down and just tracked drums and kept tracking, and we were done within a few hours, and we had 7 down, and we thought, well, may as well work on that. So
see what happens from it, and then, all of them happened.
Well, it's nice when it works that way.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll take a listen to Tonight We Last Forever by Charlie on Trial here on 100.5 WOW FM. Tonight We Last Forever there by Charlie on Trial. So you were saying it was about 10 years you guys had a break from each other and then came back for the EP?
Yep, 10 years. It was quite interesting, really. I mean, we had a bit of cadence going, and it was about the back end of when I finished up at university, and I decided I was going to go and see the world, and it was a really weird time for music for mine. I mean, our style being, that sort of alternative rock was maybe just coming out of vogue a little bit, and you had that sort of more post-hardcore and that really punk hardcore type stuff was coming in, and even 2 of the members of our band, so Blackie and Barry, are also part of a band, Adelaide band called My Catalyst,
right.
and they were really starting to get big, so it was about the point where I guess I was ready to go off and try and focus on being a career man, and those other bands were starting to be a little bit more popular, that we just drifted away a little bit, and it all just ended. Yeah,
it was weird. It kind of just fizzled out. I remember I started the acoustic stuff solo because it sort of just fizzled, and then there's just this massive break, and then during COVID, Andy, the lead guitarist, started this little like hobby recording studio, and just to try and get some more experience, he's like, hey guys, let's get back together, let's like record all those old songs. And we're like, all right, why not? So that's our like, COVID was our way of getting back together.
Oh, so it wasn't like a Blues Brothers epic to try and get the band back together?
Bringing the band back together.
That would be a better story.
Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that happened.
Don't worry about global pandemics.
Yeah.
Smashed a lot of police cars and saved an orphanage.
Nice.
And did it all just fit straight back together?
It went surprisingly well. Like, we didn't... The thing that's funny is we didn't meet up until after the album was done.
Right.
We got to the end and we're like, so we're going to need to do some photos to put on Spotify and everything. I guess we should meet up. And, like, everything had been one at a time, just going to Andy's place just to record your parts. Because they were all the old songs. We all knew them, so it was just getting them down. And, then after that catch-up, we all just, like... It was like nothing had changed, and we're like, yeah, this has been so much fun. We need to keep this going.
Yeah, I think there was one recording session where I just forced my way in. I was always quite a creative part of the group, and I just was like, I was getting a bit antsy, really. I was like, all right, I'm coming to listen to you sing, and caught up with the guys, and it was all good. So
have you actually all played together since the EP?
should we say yes?
Let's say yes.
Excellent.
But,
No, we really need to pull our fingers out and start jamming together properly soon. But funnily enough, since we've finished recording this, we've started recording new stuff. So,
great.
Still being creative and all that sort of thing. It's just, I don't know, life takes you away sometimes. So kids for me, kids for Blackie, and, we've all got things on our plates. So we just need to commit some time to it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's sounding great. As I said, the EP has been getting pretty high rotation in my household at the moment. Now, another reason you're in is to pick a couple of songs, so I'll just play this.
Ready?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So we've got 5 influential songs for Charlie on Trial. And I'm always interested with bands how you go about picking 5 songs, whether it's a band decision or someone takes the lead and chooses the songs.
I'm going to hand this one over to Rick, because this is definitely one of his bigger influences. I think everyone loves this, but this is yours.
Yeah, going through, I guess, late high school, I was introduced to the Used, and I mentioned to you off air before that one of the main things for me writing, and sort of changed my writing style a little bit, was I went to Taste of Chaos when the Used, Story of the Year, Rise Against, they were all playing on the same bill. And it was just an amazing show. And I always played in bands before that, but after that, my writing style changed a little bit, and just the themes in which they'd write about. And I remember I think it was 2003, I finished up, saw the Used at the Taste of Chaos, and I went back to Millicent, where I grew up and was listening at the time, and I sat in the sunroom in my parents' house and just sat there and played this song, and I wrote my own little tune that was kind of, I tried to replicate that feeling of being at that gig.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. The Used for me, I think Burt McCracken has just got such a really diverse vocal range. He's got the gnarliest screams, but he can hit the highest of high notes, and there's just so much energy in their music. I just love it.
Beautiful. Well, we'll take a listen to The Taste of Ink, which is the first choice for Charlie on Trial here on 100.5 WOW FM. This is High Fidelity on WOW FM, and tonight I'm joined by Rick and Jared from Charlie on Trial, and we're going through their Semaphore 5 as well as listening to some tracks from their brand new EP opening statement as well. Now, if the songs, so all the songs off of the album are all at least a decade old.
Yeah.
Have they changed much in that time, or did you get together and pretty much, did you, when you record them pretty much the same way?
I'd say, aside from one, they've all kept pretty true to how they were to begin with. Mm-hmm. The only exception would probably be Won't Look Back. That was one where, when we played it live, that's how we finished every gig. Once we'd written it, we're like, this song is huge. It's got so much energy, and we're like, every gig we finished with it. There's so many stories of Blackie doing his bass windmills and some of the chaos that happened from that. But yeah, when we got to recording it, we all listened to it and went, this song's really long. And we realised that it didn't really go anywhere. Like, it had the energy, but it didn't translate to the recording. And that was the biggest shock, to go, one of our favourite songs just didn't work in the recording. And we had a big revamp of how we envisioned that song. And Andy had an absolute field day from a production perspective, and some of the things that he created, like all the verses. The first verse is the only true to itself versus how it used to be. The second, third, both completely drastically different to how they used to be live. And the choruses, we just had a bit of fun with adding a few more production layers to it. And everything else, it was sort of just, we added a little bit because we could. It was a recording, but for the most part, all of the rest were like, that's exactly how we played them a decade ago.
Right.
Yeah, some of it as well, especially with Won't Look Back, as Jared was saying, was we forgot some of the lyrics, so we had to rewrite some of the stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I remember the guys were recording some stuff one day and just sent me a text message and we're like, we're a little bit stuck in this last verse. Like, what should we do here? And I just tapped out some lyrics and sent them through and they ended up making the cut. So, yeah.
So you didn't have any old demos or anything to work from?
No, well...
Not for that one, no.
The last thing we did almost as a band was record some really rough demos, but they just lost their way into the... I think I had the only CD of them.
Right.
And I think I ended up giving it to my brother, or I lent it to someone and I never got it back. So they exist somewhere, but not anywhere that I've got access to them.
So long ago, I don't even remember those demos.
Northern Sound System, remember? We got the drums in there.
That's Awakening. We did that there.
Yeah.
That was the only one that we completed from that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, we did the rest. Yeah. Okay. This is what a decade does.
Yeah. So how did the actual recording work if you hadn't seen each other for so long? How did the songs come together?
It was literally Andy and I would muck around with creating scratch tracks. Andy, for the most part, just did all the scratches himself. I think there was only one that he needed me to help with a scratch track. And then, we just all went in one at a time. Rick went in, did his drum tracks just in one session. All the drums were just done at once. And then literally just for the next couple months, it was just as we could on weekends, we'd pop over there for a day and one at a time, just do your bits as much as you could. And by the end of it, Andy had a bit of a field day, I think, with some of the production and adding his lead parts and just... he had a field day. He loved it.
Yeah.
And he showed what he's capable of with production as well.
Yeah, he's amazing. And the bits where we probably had a few little deficiencies where, what do I do with this little drum bit here or what do I do with that? It was literally just like voice recording, send it through. And he's just a genius. He's great. So, it's good fun.
And it would have been good to hear it all once it came together.
Oh,
and
shit.
seeing what everyone else's parts were.
The Tentative Wings, so that was the first song that I did the vocals for, and I wasn't meant to be doing vocals that day, but we'd done the guitars, we'd done the drums, and he said, I have added some of the lead parts to it just to flesh out the guitars a bit. And I heard it, I'm just like, oh, far out, this sounds so freaking good. Oh, no, that's it, we're doing vocals now. And we literally just had to unplug a guitar, plug in the mic, and I'm like, I'm singing this. And that's what the take was just on the day going, yep, I need to sing this. I need this song. I need to hear this.
No, so was there some later backing vocals brought in, or?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a few little sessions where I'd, a couple of times, hopefully no one from work's listening, but I'd, on my way back from going to see someone for work purposes, I'd drop back through Barry's place and just drop a few little vocal bits and obviously outside of work I went there a couple of times as well. So
Call it corporate sponsorship.
That's right. Yeah. No, but I guess the bulk of my stuff, drums one session, went back, did most of the vocal stuff one session, and then I went back just to tidy up some of my other ideas that I wanted him to tidy up and do some other little bits of vocals and harmonies. And then, like I said, I caught up with those guys together once, and it was all really good. It was such a good fun process, and like you said, listening to it.
Yeah.
We've got the little Dropbox account that we all share that we, I was scanning it every day, seeing what's been updated and wanting to hear the latest. So
Got you through some days at work, just sitting there going, there's a new... Andy messaging saying, I got some new demos up. Let me know what you think of the mix. And everyone's instantly just like, yes.
Oh, perfect.
But especially doing it all in-house, kind of, I think that was pretty liberating to be able to just chuck ideas in there. You didn't have to worry about studio time or anything. So we'd be like, do you think this would work? And it's like, try it.
Yeah.
We'll find out. And you listen, you'd have 3 versions of one song. So that we go, actually, this works best.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we're kind of lucky in that respect to get the most out of our time.
Well, the EP just sounds really tight. It just sounds like you've had time to put it together to make it sound the way you want rather than
I hope so after 10 years.
Well, yeah, I guess it is a fair time to put one together. Now, your second pick, I think makes sense because I reckon listening in the intro to Got My Showing would fit perfectly on a Silverchair album, I think.
Especially that song. That was the first jam we had together with Rick. was actually where we wrote this song. The second song that we wrote, and it was a riff that I came, and at the time I'd like just discovered Silverchair, and I was late to the party, and yeah, they had such a big influence on me in so many ways, from writing the guitars and the way they structure their songs, and just their like the hits and stuff that they managed to get in there to make things interesting, as well as just Daniel Johns as a vocalist being incredible and having so much like ways to express his voice, and I can't even come close to that. But like that's where like Rick with his incredible scream sort of helps like give this extra layer to what we're able to achieve. And I don't know, they just had such a big impact, and everyone's been saying Silverchair. I can hear a lot of Silverchair in this album, and it's just reminded me how big an influence it's been. So when you asked us what are some influences, Silverchair had to be there.
Oh, it's nice. It's a nice comparison for people to have.
Yeah.
And so which Silverchair track have you gone for?
This is off first track off of Neon Ballroom, Emotion Sickness.
And that was Emotion Sickness by Silverchair, which is the second pick by Charlie on trial for this week's Semaphore 5. Rick, you got a shout out for someone?
Yeah, my gorgeous mother is fangirling us all the way down from the sunny southeast in Millicent, where I was born and bred. So got to give a shout out to Mum and Dad. Don't forget Dad. So Doriana and John, have a glass of red for me.
Nice. And you've managed to track down the CD you were talking about.
Yeah, well, I reckon Simon's got it. So, and funnily enough, I think you've got some of Simon's music coming up later on.
We do, yes. Got one of his older tracks coming up in the just after 9. So a bit of a family affair tonight.
Nice work.
It'd be interesting to hear those demos and compare how much the tracks have changed over the 10 years.
Well, I don't reckon we ever laid vocals on that album.
Right.
So we just tracked bass, drums, and guitars.
Yeah, I think Awakening was the only one that we managed to finish, and we're like, yeah, we need to get to the other ones, and then that's when everything sort of fizzled out. So
how old would be the oldest song on the EP?
The oldest one would have been the old Alias track, which is the title track to the album. So a band that I was in and started and wrote music for while I was living in Millicent was called Alias, and after I went to that gig that I was talking about before, when I saw the Muse for the first time, I wrote New Beginnings in the sunroom of my parents' home down in Millicent, and it's just one of those songs. I don't know. It seems to me a little bit timeless. It's just got that vibe where today, tomorrow, the next day could always be your new beginning. So,
well, the EP doesn't sound like it's made up of 10-year-old songs. It sounds fresh and current.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
It's worked out well. And there's some good diversity on there. It's quite a diverse. There's a lot of light and shade, and some slower songs and some faster songs. As you mentioned, Jared, there's some pretty heavy screams on there too. I think that got the attention of Mr. Anthony Sims last week. So you're doing the screams from behind the drum kit when the band's playing together?
Yeah. Our cadence as a band has been really strange, hey? So when we started when we started playing together, we had a different vocalist. So Vince Fusco was the vocalist in our band back in the day, and then times changed and Vince moved on, and then we kind of shared vocals 50-50, and then I kind of took them on a little bit more, and then we moved back to Jared, and I think Voice of an Angel house child over here probably deserves the job behind the microphone.
Oh, you.
But yeah, I don't know. It's been a bit of a strange one. Our sounds changed quite dramatically over the years, but we never tried to stick to just one genre, really. We sort of gave it whatever we wanted.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that was cool is when we got to the recording, we didn't really say anything about who was going to sing what. And then I sang the ones, I jumped in and just started singing to whatever, and then Rick came in and just like, Tonight Will Last Forever, like chucked that down, and that was his song to begin with, but like, he just put his vocals down. It's like, you're the one. You need to be doing this. This is sick. And that's just like we still had that diversity to just go, we're both vocalists.
Yeah, it's nice to have that choice and range as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think you grow up and mature a little bit over the years, and I think your voice does as well. For me, definitely.
Yeah.
I remember I was sitting in our... talking a lot about Millicent at the moment, but I remember going home and I was having a bit of a jam with Dad, and he said, you sound like you're choking your vocals a little bit. and why don't you try this? It's just a different way of singing. And I hadn't ever put it into a recording before. And after I recorded a lot of the vocals for what we were doing here, the guys all came back after I'd put it in the Dropbox and gone, your voice sounds a lot different these days. And it was just one of those things where instead of, I don't know, trying to make a sound, I just made it, this is my voice, this is what I sound like now. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. It's like awesome. A liberating experience. It was nice.
Yeah. So now we're on to track 3, choice 3. What have you picked?
This one's Knights of Sidonia by Muse. This was I'm not sure how big an influence this was to the rest of the guys. I know for me, Muse is the reason I started songwriting. Mm-hmm. Absolution in particular, that entire album was just incredible, and Matt Bellamy's voice and all his harmonies and everything has always been a huge influence, and the harmonies in particular, Knights of Sidonia, that's been a big thing with doing all these really layered vocals that I love, and Andy's really started to get behind with in terms of the recording and the production. But Knights of Sidonia, I need to check the year this came out because I'm not sure if it was more this or Mind's Eye,
right?
By I'm pulling the Wolfmother. Yes, that was a bigger influence to Got My Showing. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, there's that little Wolfmother guitar riff in Got My Showing. I think that just you can hear the influence for that one.
Yeah. So both of these were big influence on that, and then the vocals as well was definitely Matt Bellamy being channeled there.
All right, well, so let's take a listen to Knights of Sidonia on WOWfm. So we just heard Knights of Sidonia by Muse, which is the third pick by Charlie on Trial. So, fellas, after over a decade of not seeing each other, when you finally got back together, were there any big, amazing, mind-blowing revelations or embarrassing details people had to go through? Or you haven't got to that point yet?
Jared found out that I had 2 kids.
Oh.
Which was like, whoa.
Yeah.
You've had 2 kids. Holy smoke. And you're married? What? Shout out to Rachel, who's listening at the moment as well.
I will pay that. That was a shock because I haven't used Facebook in so long, and I picked it up again after a bit before we started recording. And jumping on, seeing all the guys and being like, far out. Rick's married, he's got kids. Blackie's married, he's got kids. Oh, wow, okay. And it's just still the same guys. Like, nothing's changed, but at the same time, everything's changed.
There's kids around. Yeah. So, with big life changes like that, are you expecting it to have a pretty big influence on the new music that the band writes?
All right, I'll give a quick answer to this. I haven't written a lot of lyrics lately, but the other night I sat down and I started thinking, oh, you know what? I'll grab a pen, I'll grab something to write on. And the first lyric I wrote was, I'm scribbling on half-coloured in pages. And I wouldn't have written that lyric if it wasn't for kids around with pencils.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I reckon it might have some sort of an influence, but I guess time will only tell.
Yeah. And I guess families and kids could potentially make it a bit hard to get together for plenty of rehearsals and gigs.
Yeah, well, I think if I say the name Rachel enough on air, then she might release me enough that we can get together for some jams sometimes. So
beautiful.
I think there'll be a text message coming through telling me off for saying that. But
and are you getting a chance to get together to do any writing, or is it all happening individually?
The moment it's individually. We've all had our ideas that we've brought forward, and we started tracking some of it in terms of recording. Some are more complete than others. And yeah, we're getting to the point now where we're going, all right, I think we've gotten as far as we want to individually in bringing this to the table. And now it's trying to figure out, all right, how are we going to get together and start trying to collaborate more? Because it's the one thing that's missing so far is we've gotten so far at the moment because of the way things work with having a studio that we can access.
Yeah.
But we're still missing that point of being there in person and being able to bounce ideas off of each other. I was chatting to Rick before this. We grabbed dinner and a drink, and it's like, one of the biggest things I missed was just how much we would bounce off of each other with ideas. And even things like saying, I don't like that actually, I think it should be more like this. And then that would give birth to a new idea from that idea. And then it just kept snowballing from there with some of the songs.
Yeah. Play it this way, sing it this way, do it this way, don't like that, do like that. Yeah, no, it's just such a collaborative thing. And it was always really open with us, and no harm, no foul. Just tell it how it is, and we'll find the way that sounds the best. And I think we were really lucky that we always probably came together in the end on what sounded good. So to us anyway, and hopefully that translates to people who like to listen.
Yeah, and I guess having the EP out would also bring a bit of enthusiasm to do more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like this whole thing was just let's chuck it down. We always wanted to, and we were never able to. We never had the means to do it. And now that Andy's gotten into his recording and set up his little studio and brought us all together to do this, suddenly we've done it. It was going to be a fun thing, just that it was done, and we ticked that off the bucket list. But it's lit that fire again, and we are keen as anything to get some more out.
Yeah, the amount of times in the group chat where the words passion project was mentioned, it's a passion project, we'll record these and, probably never go anywhere, but see how it goes. And who knows, still may not, but at the moment we're getting a lot of good reactions from it and people seem to be enjoying it, so let's ride the wave.
Perfect. You can just take a few long lunches without work finding out again.
Oh, not me. I wouldn't do that. Who said that?
I don't know. Must have been Anthony when he came in. So our next track, your fourth pick, what have we got?
Do you want to take this one?
Oh, I'll have a little crack at it. Paramore, Careful, this song is, and I think this is their opening track off of their second album, I reckon, and it really just, from an energy perspective and, the really nice lead guitars, and I think also the sound of the drums, I think we really like that high energy, high feel, especially when we were playing live, so, and obviously, look, Hayley Williams and the brothers, they really collaborated really well, and that's a little bit of what we're about as well. So, Paramore Careful is the next track.
Fantastic. You're on 100.5 WOW FM. That is Paramore with Careful, fourth choice by Charlie on Trial and Jared and Rick from the band. Joining me to talk about their new EP opening statement, which is available on all streaming services, and give it a listen. You can also pick up two of their tracks on Triple J Unearthed. So if you grab those, give them a review and a like and get it played on that big radio station as well.
We don't need to talk about that station, mate.
Oh,
we're on WOWfm.
Absolutely, yes. The main and number one radio station in Semaphore.
That's right.
Yeah. Most popular Semaphore-based radio program in at least my household, anyway.
Brilliant.
So, with the EP, you described it, I read a description you put that it's a love letter to Aussie and American rock. And we've mentioned there's a few influences in there. Are there particular... I know Nirvana, I think Dave Grohl said they ended up always referring to Smells Like Teen Spirit as their Pixies song. That we just played the Pixies song because they felt it was a bit of a rip-off of the Pixies Quiet Loud, Quiet Loud. And you mentioned there was was it a Grinspoon
There's
section?
definitely, there's a grin. We always laughed about the solo that Andy put into Got My Showing as like, and then the Grinspoon solo.
Yeah. So are there parts of songs you do refer to through some of the influences?
The Wolfmother bit, the Grinspoon bit,
the Silverstein bit, or Silverstein bit.
The Bayside riff.
Yeah, Bayside riffs. Like, Silverstein been a big influence with Andy loves Silverstein, and then from them he's pulled the tambourine. And if you listen, it's actually featured in every single song on the EP has at least one tambo section now because of Andy's
I'm going to have to listen for it now.
From Silverstein.
Try and pick the tambourine.
Unhear it.
Yeah, that's it. It's there now.
There we go. So it's the Charlie on Trial version of the cowbell. It just needs more tambo.
Always needs more.
I think it's really interesting though. Like we struggled to try and actually pinpoint, what is our genre, what is our sound, and all that sort of stuff. And it's kind of just a mishmash of like.
Yeah, well, I'd say the EP is kind of almost genreless in that there's a lot of elements of a lot of great music, but it just fits together really nicely as a whole EP. It doesn't come across sounding like a tribute, but you can hear the influences in it, which makes it really interesting to listen to, I think.
That's one thing we've been surprised at when we put the EP together, and when we thought of the track lists, and I was listening with someone and then talking about like how it flows, and then brought that to the band, and everyone's like, yeah, no, that works. And we're just surprised. I found it surprising just how well each of the songs could flow into each other when they were all written at such different points, because they were written across the entire span of us gigging across 3 or 4 years. Maybe more. And but they still tie together, which, I don't know, it's just, I don't know what that says, but I love it.
And even just what the songs are written about, so different, you know. You go from New Beginnings, the opening track, to, you know, Tentative Wings, which is about like a real nasty breakup and a toxic relationship, and I don't know. And then, you know, songs like In the Morning, everyone thinks it's like a unrequited love song, but it's just about me waking up half pissed still on a swing chair at Jared's place. So yeah, I don't know. The themes are all very different, but they tie in really well together. So
yeah. Was there a little sense of nostalgia going back to the songs after that long?
Yeah,
Massive.
huge.
Especially when you got to put them together, and then we were able to realise the sound we were going for with some of them, where we couldn't necessarily do it live. And then when we got to do it on a recording, and just like, oh, I would love to have some harmonies here, or this second vocal part that we could never do it live, or the leads, just so much that we're able to add to it that we always dreamt of but were never able to do because we could only ever do it live.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got the nostalgia, and then we got to build on our dreams, basically.
Awesome. Well, we should get to your final track in the 745. What is track 5?
Well, I reckon we probably share the description for this one, but I'll introduce it. This one's Taking Back Sunday and Liar. It takes one to know one. And for me, this album from Taking Back Sunday, I think the biggest part of it for me is the shared vocals. You've got Fred and you've got Adam, and they're just absolutely constantly playing off one another. And I think there's a few songs where Jared and I do similar. Obviously, we're not the same, and we don't try to be the same. But I really found a lot out of this album that I thought, you know what, that's really cool. Let's bounce off of one another.
Yeah, I think once Vince left the band, and then it was left to both of us to share the vocal duties. This was a big influence, and like I was introduced to this band by Rick, and it became a massive part of my playlist and a big influence. And I forgot how much I love this until we were talking about tonight, and what did we pick? And then, just like, I think Tentative Wings is a good example of where we drew influence from this and having that call and response with some of the parts there.
All right, let's take a listen to some Taking Back Sunday here on WOWfm. And that was Taking Back Sunday with Liar, the final choice by Rick and Jared from Charlie on Trial. Fellas, thanks for coming in. So, is there the potential of a Charlie on Trial gig in the near future?
We want there to be.
Let's just say yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. So it's locked in.
Yeah, go. Done.
Do you still have some of the connections from when you were playing around? There's some bands that you still know that are gigging, or venues that are run by the same people?
Got a few little connections still. I still talk to some of the guys from ABN, and I think they still get together from time to time.
Yeah.
That was one of the main bands that we sort of played with back in
Love
the day.
those guys.
So, yeah, there's a few little ones, but I guess, 10 years traverses a lot of people going in and out of venues and bands doing things that aren't doing things anymore and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, it's interesting.
I reckon Andy probably still knows some people. He seems to be in the know.
Yeah, he's a bit connected.
Oh, there we go. Well, I'll be keen to come along if you do.
We'll keep
throw
you in the
a
loop,
gig together. Excellent. And potentially some new music maybe this year. Is the aim for this year?
Yeah, that's the aim. We got one song that we thought was pretty much done. Spent yesterday recording, and we thought it was done, and then we're like, it's actually really short. It's only a minute and a half. I kind of liked it as it was, and we're like, yeah, this is sick. But then we've heard it, and we're like, there needs to be more.
Right.
So
it deserves to be longer.
Yeah. So that's going to now be a new
project
challenge, new project to try and build that into something more. But that's probably the most likely next single, I think.
Oh, there we go. Well, we're going to go out with another Charlie on Trial track. Before we do, any shout-outs, hellos? We've got some international listeners by the sounds of it.
We sure do. So all the way from Belfast in Ireland, I want to say a quick shout-out to Stevie Kearney, and I'm going to get massacred if I don't say hi to Jen Watner, who's listening in Brighton. So what about you?
I'm just going to say thanks to I know my whole family's listening to this right now, so thank you all for listening and all the support. And just, everyone that's been tuning in and listening, thank you so much. This has been awesome, an awesome ride.
It's really humbling, and we put this out just before Christmas as a little Christmas gift to ourselves more than anything, and I think a lot of people have connected with it, which has been really flattering. So
awesome. And not to put too much pressure on your friend in Ireland, but you will know if he's listening on Spotify by the little spike next to it, because it gives you a country breakdown.
I reckon he's on your website, actually.
Oh, there we go. So it'll give you a chance to see how often he's listened to Charlie on Trial by how many people people in
Oh, of
Ireland are
course.
listening to it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so he's going to have to just put it on repeat when he goes to work. And
No pressure, Stevie. We want to see a spike in Tesco.
there we go. So, yeah, thanks a bunch for coming in, fellas, and
Pleasure.
keeping me
Thanks,
company
Shannon.
for the hour. And congratulations on the EP. If people are keen to hear it, what's the best way for them to take a listen?
Pretty much anywhere you consume your music, we are available. So Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music.
Bandcamp, we got the FLAC
YouTube.
files and everything on there if you're into the audiophile side of things.
Perfect. And people can find out and follow the band on most social media.
Facebook's the main one, Instagram, Twitter's the only one we don't really have, I think.
You do.
I do, that's my personal one.
Oh, okay. See how it is.
Twitter's where the band can argue politics with other people.
There you go.
So, Charlie on Trial, check it out, get in and take a listen to the music. The EP is fantastic, fellas. So, we're going to go out with, I was thinking, some New Beginnings, 5